I am so excited to share with you tonight about living the essential life. I have lots of information to cover, and I'm going to have some different posts and things in the event itself. So just follow along on this video. This is where all the good stuff is going to be, but I'll be posting things throughout our class as well. So if you see the red live box on your video, then I am actually live and streaming as we're talking, so you can post comments and I can respond to you live in the video. If you don't see the red box that says live, then that means I'm not live. However, you can still post comments. I'll be happy to answer questions later on. I get notifications when the comments post, so I can go through and answer those questions for you as well. So we are going to get started. I hope that you all have had a chance to look at some of the kind of leading up to our event posts that I've made. If not, you'll have a chance to look at those afterwards, but I want to go ahead and get started so I can honor your time and my time as well. If you happen to see a little bit of the top of my head or my eyes are going down while we're talking, don't worry, I have my notes right here, and I'm just trying to make sure that I cover everything and I don't you know, squirrel and rabbit trail and stray off and all of that fun stuff. All right, so let's get started. So in today's world, some of the most dangerous things that affect our health are the things that we actually expose ourselves to willingly every day. And some of those things might not be the things that you expect, especially as you've been looking at some of the things that I shared in the event earlier. In fact, you might be completely oblivious to the fact that the products we use on ourselves and in our home, on our children, and in our everyday lives could be the very things that are contributing to why we're sick and why we have health problems, why we maybe struggle occasionally, and why we're not living a life full of wellness, purpose, and abundance. And so the purpose of our class tonight is for me to kind of highlight those things and those ways that you can live a life full of wellness, purpose, and abundance. Excuse me while I adjust myself into this position. So we talked a little bit about some of the facts about everyday products from the store. I've made those posts over the last couple of days and just tried to give you some kind of pre-knowledge about some of those things. So I won't go into a lot of details about sodium lauryl sulfate and phthalates and formaldehyde and fragrance and all of that kind of stuff in this class. But if you haven't had a chance to go back and look at those posts, do take a few minutes to read them because there's a lot of valuable information in there. And I also put links to each one that includes some additional information for you to be able to look at. So it's a great resource for you to kind of educate yourself as well. So when we use those products that contain those ingredients on ourselves or on our children, especially on a daily basis, those toxins actually build up and they accumulate within our bodies. It's a process that's called bioaccumulation. And this means that the more we expose ourselves to these toxins, the harder it is for our body to break them down because they're constantly building up. It causes both minor and major health issues that otherwise could be prevented if we just quit using those toxins. Even if the issues aren't apparent today or right now, because it's building up in your system with just, you know, the little bit of exposure that you get every day, it can, you know, be something that becomes very apparent later on down the line. So it's important to understand that. So, you know, it's even scarier to know about all of these products and just this concept of bioaccumulation is that some of the most popular organic products can still contain some of these ingredients that we've already talked about in the last couple of days. So even if you think you're making a better decision about going organic instead of, you know, a conventional product, there's actually still a probability that your organic product is still highly toxic for yourself and for your kids. So if you don't believe me, there's a great resource that you can look at, and I've already posted a link to it in one of my posts earlier, but it's the Environmental Working Group website, which is ewg.org. You can actually plug in the ingredients for the products that you've been using already. You could search some of the products, but you could look at the ingredients for those products and you can plug those in and see how it's rated in toxicity. The other thing that's a really good resource is your Think Dirty app. You can use it on a smartphone. It's a really cool app. It actually lets you scan the barcode of a ton of products. So while you're in the store and you're like, gee, do I want to buy that? You can scan that barcode and it'll pull up their rating for it. And it's very similar to the EWG rating where you're talking about toxicity of products. So 10 is a bad toxicity. You don't want that in your life. I shoot for anything that's below a 1 or 2. So that's kind of where I shoot for toxicity levels on those. But it's a great resource, and you can again search by ingredients as well. So there's a lot of things that are out there that we don't even know about. There's a lot of brands, and I'll post in our group here in just a minute some pictures of some of the Think Dirty scans of some of the brands that are supposed to be all natural and supposed to be healthy for you that aren't. And that has a lot to do with how they label things. And so reading the labels is really important. So now that we've kind of freaked you out and kind of got you in that stage of like, well, nothing's safe, I want to just start off by saying there's no judgment. I lived in this world and I didn't know until I started asking questions. So we used to use those products in our home all the time, on ourselves, on our kids. I mean, that was what we thought we were doing the right thing, right? But once we educated ourselves and figured out what we were using in our home, we decided that we were going to ditch some of those things. And honestly, once we switched over to the plant-based products and really understood and educated ourselves, our lives changed. I mean, we had some dramatic improvements and some dramatic successes with our plant-based products, and we experienced excellent wellness that is the kind of wellness that God has always intended for us to have. We were created perfect, and we were created for amazing things. And sometimes we allow those amazing things that God created us for to get bogged down and burdened by toxicity, and that can be emotional toxicity, or it can be toxicity in our wellness. So once we started to pull those toxins out of our home, we started to really experience some vibrancy in our wellness and kind of living that life that we wanted to live, and where God wanted us to be. So because we've seen so many amazing changes in our own lives, that's why we educate. That's why I do what I do, because I've been able to make some tremendous changes for my life and for my kids' life, for the family around me, for my friends. And I just feel like, gosh, this is not something I want to hold in. This is not something I don't want to share with anyone, because it's really that valuable and that important. So, what can you use instead then? We've talked about what you shouldn't use, so what can you use instead? So the only company that we trust that has products with none of the chemicals that we've already posted about, and that's even better than that organic label and only contains the purest of plant-based ingredients, is Young Living. And they are an essential oil company, yes, but they're also a fully equipped natural products company. So they have supplements, they have beauty products, they have household cleaning products, they have stuff for the kids and babies, they have home purifiers, they have bath and shower products, oral care, and yes, makeup. So this makes it easy to simply just ditch those products that you're currently using and replace them with something that Young Living has instead. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all the things you need for yourself, for your home, for your children, and for your health, like your wellness. So for over 21 years, I think it's 23 now maybe, Young Living has been the world leader in producing and guaranteeing 100% pure and potent therapeutic grade essential oils and plant-based products. So they've got this standard that's called the Seed to Seal, and it places them in a category that's higher than any other company in the world, because basically what Seed to Seal means is from the time that the seed of the plant is sourced to until it's put into essential oil bottle or a plant-based product, Young Living actually applies the most rigorous quality controls possible to ensure that you're receiving the product exactly the way nature intended it to be. So the only thing inside an essential oil bottle is the plant itself. There's no additives, there's no filters or fillers, there's no synthetic fragrances or preservatives or dyes, which is not the same thing for store-bought essential oils, hence why other brands are dangerous and highly toxic. The FDA only requires 5% of a product to be pure in the bottle for it to be labeled 100% pure. So you need to find a company that can guarantee their purity, and Young Living has been able to do that. And this goes for all of their products. The only ingredients within the products are the ones that are actually listed on the label, and they're all plant-based. So not one single ingredient is synthetic, toxic, or chemically derived. That's super important for me as we were looking to eliminate toxins in our home. We didn't want to reintroduce them back with our natural products, right? So remember how we discussed that you can go to the EWG.org or the Think Dirty app and view the toxicity of the products you're using? Most of the products you're using, even the organic ones, have ingredients with levels that rank all the way up to 10, 10 being the most toxic. We talked about that already. With all of Young Living's products, their ingredients have levels that rank nothing higher than a 1 or a 2. So this goes to show and to prove that there's no other company out there with safer, higher quality products that are also supporting your wellness and not destroying it. So the Seed to Seal product, or the Seed to Seal standard, really goes into a lot more depth than that. That's just kind of an overview. You can get some more information about that Seed to Seal standard at seed2seal.com. It's a great website for you to check out just because it's got a lot of different details and how that Seed to Seal process happens. But one of the things that I really love about Young Living and their products is every single ingredient, even if it's not required to be listed by the FDA, is listed on the label. And I can trust that what I'm getting is actually what's listed on the label because they've proven that time and time and time again. They're a company that's been around, like I said, for 22, 23 years. So they're not going to have had that longevity without some integrity. So you might be saying using plant-based products can be expensive, and maybe it is, depending on what you're changing from. But if that's what you think, then I'm really glad that you're watching this video because I will be able to quickly kind of debunk those associations or those assumptions by showing you how you're not only saving money by using Young Living's plant-based products, but you're saving your bodies too. So is it better to have money or is it better to have health? That's a decision you have to make for yourself. Even if Young Living doesn't have a product you're thinking of that's already pre-made, there's a lot of stuff that you can make yourself using the essential oils. And that in and of itself saves a ton of money, and it helps to eliminate that toxin exposure, and you know what's in it. So you can say, I know that this is just coconut oil and, you know, lavender and tea tree and frankincense, and I can slather it all over my body and it's okay because I know that that's exactly what's in it because I made it myself. So that gives you a comfort. Plus, you know, think about what's the cost of tending to the health of yourself or someone in your family. So how much money do you spend every month for every doctor visit or every pharmacy run, all your over-the-counter medications, all of that kind of stuff. Even if you have good insurance, do you still have to take off from work during those situations? Was it stressful? Did it waste valuable time from actually living a life of wellness and happiness? See, there's a cost for everything. So even if the cost isn't maybe a monetary cost, there's still a cost. There's a stress cost. There's a time cost. There's a wellness cost for everything. So you may be saving $1, but in the long run, is that really what you want to do? So let's start shifting that paradigm and start thinking about the value of taking care of your family. Have you ever heard the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? We can stop treating symptoms and start supporting systems by investing in our health, eliminating those toxins and chemicals in our lives, and flooding the body with nutrients and plant-based ingredients instead. So while we are definitely not saying, with Young Living, that you should quit taking medications and quit going to the doctor, because modern medicine is amazing and absolutely holds a vital place in our world, I am simply saying that there are essential oils and products you could be using that will support a healthy body and maintain a level of ultimate wellness. And while we are not doctors ourselves, most of us, I'm not a doctor myself, I don't have to be a medical professional to make better decisions for my health and the health of my family. Just something to think about. So I am going to give you guys a few minutes to let that kind of digest and sink in. I'm going to post a few things that I talked about posting earlier, and then we will be back in just a few minutes to talk about 5 ways that you can totally afford Young Living products. I'll see you in a few minutes.